Oh, skanking up a storm here at the Lost Weekend Market. Thank you, Kilmarnock Steve.
No problem.
I tell you, the Arctic tundra of Western Scotland was never like that, was it?
I found some beautiful things, and I'm so glad I can share.
Well, what was in that cornucopia of Calypso?
That it was from the Lord Foodoos and his Calypso band, and we had Back to Back, Belly to Belly. And then we had Don't Touch Her Tomato.
Which of course was a very, very famous song.
Very risky song, went on to be recorded by Phyllis Dillon and such, and magnificent. And we just listened to Roland Alfonso, just talking to Dennis just then. It sounded very much like the Scatolites, but it was Roland Alfonso. And I think that's the way those boys rolled in back in the day.
Now this is going to sound like an ABC documentary here, because we're going to have a conversation across the ska generations. We've got Kilmarnock Steve here, and he's going to introduce two of Melbourne's, well, the world's really, ska royalty.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dennis and Peter Sindri from the Caribs. So Dennis, it's good to have you back in town.
It's good to be here, right?
And you were back here 2007 for a show, and we thought over here in Melbourne it was probably time to get you back to Melbourne and get those tunes back out.
While you still can. Yeah.
While you still can, it's a beautiful thing. So just for those folks that don't know much of the story, can you maybe just let the good people of Melbourne know the wonderful things that you've been up to?
Well, a very, very brief resume, right? I started off playing Dixieland music with the Dixieland bands, Frank Traynor in particular in Melbourne. Then we went to Surfers Paradise after I met Peter, and we formed a group. That's where the original Caribs group started. And then we got a contract in '58 to go to Jamaica, and we went to Jamaica, played in the Glass Bucket Club, the Myrtle Bank Hotel, and then the Sheraton. And then I left Jamaica in '68, and Pete stayed. And we should let Peter come and say a word now too, right? Tell you about him.
We should.
I'm originally from Camberwell, but Pete's originally from Adelaide.
And Pete, you were just telling me before you sort of started off on a farm, decided that wasn't for you.
Yes, well, I'm originally from a place called Yankalilla, south of Adelaide, and I got mixed up into the music business in Melbourne. I came across here as a shearer. I had my pick-up with cones and cutters and everything, and I had it stolen here in Melbourne, so I was left cast with nowhere to go, no money. And Dennis Gibbons from 3OW, the morning announcer at the time, was a friend of mine, so he helped me out a bit. And I got a job playing in Fairs Hotel in Collins Street, and that's where I met Dennis. And I always remember that Dennis had just got married, and he'd just coming back from the marriage and his honeymoon, and we backed up on Collins Street again, and we decided to go into the Australian Hotel, and that was the end of the wedding photographs.
Right, so good afternoon for you boys.
Yeah.
Now you're still living in Kingston?
Yes, I'm still there. I play mainly solo piano, and on occasion I play the jazz shows that they have.
So for the good folks out there, you guys have met in Collins Street, and this is a wonderful thing, and this is the sort of story we've been trying to impress on tell the people of Melbourne. It's just a wonderful story. So two guys meeting in Collins Street, getting a band together, and then you went off to Surfers Paradise, and so from there to Kingston. How on earth did that happen?
Well, there was a guy called Max Wildman who was a band manager, and he'd toured around before, and he got offered a job to become the manager of the Glass Bucket Club in Jamaica, which was going downhill. And he, after a lot of negotiation, he said, I'll go, but if I can bring my musicians with me. So there was Max, Peter, myself, and Laurel Morris on drums, right?
Yeah.
And we went to Jamaica, didn't have a contract, didn't know what we were going to get paid, didn't know, we just took a gamble, right? But we got there, and Max, being a brilliant negotiated a pretty good salary for us, and we were king of the hill.
Excellent. And then, so you played as the hotel band for a while?
Yeah.
then at the same time with Graham coming over, you guys didn't actually know each other, you sort of met there.
No, as a matter of fact, we met Graham when we first started in the Glass Bucket Hotel. He had a Chinese girlfriend, later became his wife.
Yes.
And her sister later became my wife. And they came to the Glass Bucket, and because they told Graham he was having an Australian band there, right?
Yeah.
So he came to see the Australian band, and that's where we got to meet each other.
Yeah.
And after that, we became lifelong friends.
Right, and then that was at the start of the recording industry as well. I think Peter's keen to say something.
Whilst we were there, we were approached by a fellow called Chris Blackwell from Island Records, and he wanted us to back up his stable of singers, which includes some of the people like Stranger Cole, Owen Gray, Laura Lygon, and Wilfred Edwards.
Oh my goodness.
I can't remember the rest.
I'm salivating as you say those names.
And that's how this recording thing started up. So we worked with Chris for a couple of years and so forth, and we actually started off to be honest with you, we started off the recording business in Jamaica right there and then. Because you couldn't even get any of the DJs to play a local record. We had hell trying to get them to sponsor us, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dan says more to say.
I was just going to say that's why the early island records you listen to were not ska.
Yeah.
They're all rhythm and blues, basically.
That's right. Yeah.
Because Chris was getting the music from America, and we were copying it, basically.
Yeah.
But then after the recording industry got started, they accepted it in Jamaica, then the local business started. Because in the sound system dances, it all depended who had the latest different record.
Yeah.
So the sound system operators would make these records, no label on them.
They were want to scratch off a few things.
Yeah,
weren't they?
exactly. And then they'd sell that record for an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
And then when it became popular, then they pressed it and released it, right? And the guy who had the latest popular record, all the people would go to his dance.
Yeah.
So the other guy had to scurry and get something good too to get him back, right? So
and that was people like Prince Buster and Cox and Dodd and Duke Reid.
Duke Reid,
who had all
yeah.
of those things. Look, we've sort of run out of time, but ladies and gentlemen, we have got the absolute pleasure of spending some more time with these guys at the Foxtail Hub as part of the Melbourne Festival next Friday night and Saturday night. It's going to be a wonderful celebration of all things connected with Melbourne and the Jamaican music scene, and it really is a pleasure to have two of the originators right here in our own backyard. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you the Caribs.
Oh yes, a big hand there for the Caribs, and I think it's no exaggeration to say that they pretty much invented Jamaican music as we know it today, and there are a lot of people around the world that agree with me on that. So, it's that time, as ever, on Blue Juice, around lunchtime, around midday. I suppose it's a bit of an early lunch, isn't it, Dr. Johnny? But we have Dr. Johnny's Good Medicine.
Thanks, Prof. Well, I've got quite a few acts that you can all check out today. I've got a ton of stuff. I've got the watermelons